you know, I'm English, I can't read Canadian. Anyway, so Fortville, if you're around, you're up next, which is good because you won't have any competition. Anyway, as it's been mentioned, I'm not entirely Canadian, for which naturally I apologise. I do realise, for a start, I call it Toronto, which rather gives me away. You local people, I know, I found out, go for something which sounds to me like you're, I know, suggesting a clearing of the throat, perhaps. A kind of, hello, I'm from Toronto, which I have to say, I do rather admire, because you have a something of a claim there on brevity, which I'm afraid we people from England rather don't have. I mean, I'm from London. I know you would probably prefer to call it something long or something like that. We go for the whole thing. Sometimes we say London, England. Anyway, I've been here for a whole week now, and I've only been in Toronto. I mean, this is my first time in Canada, so I've been trying to get into the whole sort of Torontonista culture. So the first thing I did, of course, was walk up onto one of your very amazing streetcars. And I have to say, I wish I'd been warned, because boy, the G-force on those things. You get on, it's like, it's amazing. There's 1 minute you're on Queen and Bay, and like 10 minutes later, you're coming up to Yonge. And you think, well, the only possible way you could get from those two places slower is if they make the sidewalks into molten concrete and they made you swim the whole way. I mean, I do not know how you put up with it, or indeed why. I mean, you step up onto the streetcar and you seem to step out of the space-time continuum. I mean, time no longer matters. I mean, it's kind of extraordinary. I mean, I was on one the other night, and there are a couple of guys at the back there, and I went up to them to have a little chat, and it turns out they are Japanese soldiers who refuse to believe that the war has actually finished. So I go up to them and say, well, look, just, you know, look out of the window. I mean, does it look like there's still a war on? And now, you may have noticed yourself, unfortunately, there is quite a lot of construction going on in your fair city, and it does rather look as though it's rather been recently carpet bombed. They were unconvinced by this, as I was unconvinced by the word order of that last sentence. You were probably a bit confused yourself. Anyway, it finally got me to where I was meant to be going, and that was my second lesson in Torontista. Did you say Torontista or Torontonista? No? Okay, excellent. Right, I'm very, very English then tonight. Sorry. So I was going for my second lesson in Torontonista culture, and that was a Marley's game. Now, do we have any Marley fans here tonight? No. Well, that's still considerably more than there were at the Rico, I can tell you. I was quite excited because it was my first hockey game, or at least the woman at the ticket office said it was very nearly hockey. And I got in there, I was a bit confused, I didn't know what any of the rules were or anything like that, so I thought, well, I'm just going to let the cheering of the fans kind of dictate how the game is played. I'm going to let them guide me on there. And as far as I can tell, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole point of hockey is you've got to grab your opponent like that, and you've got to kind of like flap your arms around in a sort of peremptory manner, and then if you knock his hat off, basically you've scored a point. Now, I'm fine with that. That's absolutely fine. What I didn't like was that there were long periods when none of this happened. And in fact, there just seemed to be some aimless skating around, and people like, and there was some sort of like small object. Obviously, the Marlies can't afford a proper ball, and I don't know what that was all about. But maybe that's just the Marlies' way. I was, well, I was bored, I have to say, for a bit, until about halfway through what I suspect you call the second third. There was all this kind of like boring knocking the ball around and whatever. And then all of a sudden, a very strange thing happened in the stadium. I don't know if you call it plain song or Gregorian chant, or it was kind of atonal thing. It was kind of like, let's go Marlies, let's go Marlies. And you know, if the crowd got excited enough, they sometimes repeated this up to you know, twice. And I was confused at first because it sounds very plangent, very atonal. And then suddenly the penny dropped, because unlike your cousins in America, Canadians actually do sarcasm, don't you? So suddenly it all became very obvious. What's going on here is that the fans are singing in a sarcastic way because they know that the players aren't actually going to go. The players know, the fans know that the players aren't actually going to go. And the only reason the fans are singing at all is because they've got to justify to themselves the fact that for some reason they have paid actual money to be at that actual stadium watching the Marlies. And that reason, of course, is the Leafs, or the Leaves, as we say in English. Now, do we have any Leafs fans in the audience? No, hang on. So hang on, there are no Marlies fans. There are no Leafs fans. Is anyone aware that you play hockey in this country? No, okay, right, okay, good. I will scrap the whole hockey thing from any future gigs. Anyway, as it has been pointed out on many occasions, this is my first ever gig, which is actually very good for you, assuming there is still anyone out there, because when I'm huge, and I don't think there's any doubt that that's going to happen, I'll be doing stadium gigs, probably cameo walk-ons at on Arcade Fire videos, and probably be dating Avril Lavigne, if she asks nicely. And you'll be able to turn to one of your friends, you know, if you have any, and say, oh yeah, Dixie Wills, yeah, I was at his first gig, wasn't all that. He got to the end, didn't even clap, I didn't holler, I didn't whoop. Well, we all know that's a big lie, because you're nicer than that. So I'm going to say thank you very much, John. You've been lovely, and I'd like to welcome on board Fortville somebody.